we've got a very special episode for you today. It's very experimental. We're going to be working on parched corn, and a very, very important part of living life in the 18th century and even the 17th century. Thanks for joining us today on this episode. Corn was such an important food for the Native Americans and the settlers in this. It is sometimes when it was green, when it first came up, or when it this particular kind of preparation was so important for a long. It's so much easier. That's what we're going to have fun with, experimenting with all these different kinds of corn and all these different kinds of preparation methods. I've got some small. Popcorn is actually. This is actually not made into hominy yet, but I've got some hominy. I've got just some, and that's going to do some very interesting things. Straight Indian corn. It's a mix of colors. It looks like a mix of colors. Lots of different corns, lots of things to experiment with. Let's get started right now. Kind of reminds me of, I've got a little frying pan here. This also is only going to work obviously with some kinds of corn. So as this starts to warm up, you want to keep this moving in the pan, and you can start to hear the kernels popping. If it was real popcorn, it'd be blowing out of the pan, and that's why I'm not going to bother to use the actual real. It would be flying everywhere. But that was one of the things that happened in the 18th century. Why we'll talk about other methods a little bit. So the kind of popping for now, which is fine. That's going to work out. It's going to be good too. I'm going to be using pour a batch of this in. Hominy is another method of corn for later use or use at the time. This releases the outer husk of the corn, and it also does some other things to it, making it give it a different taste and a different texture. Very good for sort of long-term storage also. So you might be wondering, so what is the point of doing parched corn? Well, there's a lot more to it than just simply toasting it. We're actually driving out any excess moisture. And another thing that's happening is that we're turning a super hard corn into something that's much more easily ground up or pounded up with a mortar and pestle. Makes it so much easier. How do we rediscover what happened 200-300 years ago with corn? This is so much fun as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.